You've been told your whole life that being a good man is enough. Be kind. Be patient. Be understanding. Don't raise your voice. Don't make her uncomfortable. Don't make mistakes. Do everything right, and love will reward you. That's the lie. That's the soft poison that kills your spirit slowly because the world doesn't work that way, and you already feel it. Deep down, you know something's off. You do everything right, and somehow you still end up alone. Rejected, confused, watching her fall for the guy who doesn't even care half as much as you do. And the worst part? You start thinking something's wrong with you. That's the first trap. You see, there's a mechanism in our mind, a deep, ancient program, that equates being good with being chosen. We learned it in childhood. If you behave, if you make everyone happy, you'll be loved. But adult relationships don't run on that software. Attraction is not a reward system for obedience. It's chaos wrapped in biology, emotion, and psychological projection. And until you understand this, you'll keep trying to earn love through sacrifice instead of commanding respect through self-worth. The lie is that being a nice guy means being selfless. But selflessness, when done from insecurity, is just a silent manipulation. You give, hoping to be chosen. You agree, hoping to be accepted. You say it's fine, when it's not fine, just to keep peace that doesn't exist. And every time you suppress yourself, you disappear a little more. The irony is brutal. You think you're building connection, but what you're really doing is erasing the very thing that makes someone want you, your edge, your individuality, your boundaries. Let me break down the first layer of this, the validation trap. From the time you were small, you were rewarded for being good, polite, helpful. You learned to survive by being agreeable. So as an adult, your brain still chases that same hit. Approval equals safety. You bend, adjust, accommodate. You read moods, try to anticipate what she wants. You think you're being loving, but to her, it feels like you're hiding something. You become predictable, overinvested, too available. And biology doesn't reward predictability. It rewards mystery, strength, and self-direction. She doesn't consciously know why she loses interest. She just feels her body withdraw. That's not her being cruel. It's her nervous system reacting to a lack of polarity. Now here's where it gets darker. The nice guy isn't actually nice. He's terrified. Terrified of loss, rejection, conflict, and disapproval. His kindness is armor. It's not generosity, it's strategy. I've watched this pattern hundreds of times. Men who smile through disrespect. Men who apologize for things they didn't do. Men who say it's okay when it's clearly not. And then they explode later or spiral into resentment, wondering why no one appreciates them. It happens more often than people realize that the good guy is actually running on suppressed anger. Because deep down, you know you're being taken for granted. You just don't know how to stop it without becoming what you fear, the bad guy. But here's the paradox. The bad guy isn't actually bad. He's just unapologetically himself. He says no. He walks away when disrespected. He doesn't chase approval because his self-worth isn't tied to someone else's mood. That creates emotional tension, the very thing that fuels attraction. You see, our mind is wired to desire what feels slightly out of reach. Not impossible, just unpredictable enough to spark curiosity. The nice guy kills that tension. He gives everything up front before anything's been earned. And what's freely given loses value fast. I knew this one guy, polite, thoughtful, always there when she needed something. He'd listen to her talk about her problems, her ex, her confusion. He'd give advice, gifts, support. But every time she smiled and said, "You're such a good friend," I could see the pain behind his eyes. He didn't want to be her therapist. He wanted to be her man. But he played the role too well. He showed her everything, loyalty, empathy, reliability, without ever creating desire. He confused emotional labor with attraction. And that's how most nice guys end up, emotionally exhausted, sexually invisible. Now let's talk about the deeper mechanism, the self-abandonment loop. You think love means prioritizing her feelings above your own. So when something bothers you, you minimize it. When you feel unheard, you rationalize it. When you're disrespected, you tell yourself she's just stressed. You walk on eggshells, thinking it's maturity. But every time you silence your truth, your nervous system takes the hit. Your body keeps score. Anxiety builds, resentment festers, and you start doubting your perception of reality. This is how manipulation creeps in. Not because she's evil, but because you've trained her unconsciously that your boundaries are negotiable. Here's the darkest truth about relationships. People don't respect what doesn't resist. If you don't push back, if you don't stand firm, if you don't risk losing someone by being honest, you'll lose yourself instead. And once you lose yourself, you've already lost the relationship. Because connection can't exist without authenticity. What you call peacekeeping is often just avoidance. What you call compromise is often just fear. The psychology of the nice guy is built on one core wound: the belief that love must be earned through suffering. That's the childhood program running in the background. Time and again, I see this pattern. You meet someone, you mirror their desires, you mold yourself to fit. You become the version of you that you think they'll love. But that version is an act, and acts always expire. The real you leaks out eventually. The frustration, the unmet needs, the quiet anger. And when it does, they pull away. You're left wondering what went wrong, but it was never one moment. It was every moment you said yes when you meant no. Every moment you performed instead of being real. That's how loneliness creeps in. Not because no one wants you, but because no one's met the real you. But here's where it gets really twisted. Society rewards this behavior publicly and punishes it privately. You're told that emotional openness, kindness, and support are the path to connection. Yet the people you want most often respond to strength, detachment, and self-assurance. You're living in a psychological double bind. Do what's praised, lose attraction. Do what's natural, risk rejection. That contradiction drives men insane. It's why so many end up bitter, confused, checked out. Because you can't win a game that's designed to shame both strength and sensitivity. There was this period in my life when I tried to be the perfect man. Always calm, always understanding. I thought love meant patience without limits. But I learned the hard way. When you make someone your emotional priority, they start treating you like a background option. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. And the more you try to prove your worth, the less they feel it. That's the cruel inversion. Effort decreases perceived value. It's not logical. It's psychological. You see, yes, the mind responds to contrast. Tension, space, emotional risk. That's why detachment feels magnetic. It signals self-sufficiency. When someone doesn't need you, you want them more. The nice guy energy screams need. It's an emotional contract. I'll give you everything, just please don't leave. And no one wants to sign that. Because it feels heavy. It feels desperate. It kills the spark before it begins. So what's the cost of staying in this loop? You lose trust in yourself. You question your instincts. You start to think love is supposed to hurt. You confuse being used with being needed. You trade your power for proximity. And over time, you forget who you were before all the people you try to please. That's the quiet tragedy. The loneliness doesn't come from being single. It comes from being disconnected from yourself. The test is simple. Ask yourself these. Do you feel anxious when someone pulls away, like you've done something wrong? Do you apologize for things you didn't do just to keep the peace? Do you hide your opinions because you don't want to seem difficult? Do you give more than you receive and call it love? Do you secretly hope that if you're patient enough, they'll finally see your worth? If you said yes more than once, you're not nice, you're trapped. You're operating from fear, not love. And fear repels connection. The solution isn't to become cruel or indifferent. It's to reclaim your edge. To remember that your worth isn't measured by how much you give, but by how firmly you can stand in who you are without needing to be chosen. Understanding this doesn't instantly fix everything, but it frees you. You stop chasing validation like a starving man chasing crumbs. You start seeing patterns for what they are: programming, not destiny. You realize that your role isn't to rescue, prove, or please. It's to be grounded enough to let others reveal their truth without losing yours. And when you finally understand that, something shifts. You stop begging for connection. You stop trying to convince anyone to see your value. You start walking with quiet certainty, and people feel it. The irony? That's when attraction begins, when you no longer need it to survive. The truth is simple but hard. You were never meant to be endlessly accommodating. You were meant to be whole. Her happiness is her responsibility. And until she takes that responsibility, she'll remain unhappy no matter what you do, who she's with, or what she has. And once you see that clearly, you stop finishing lonely. You start finishing free.